Well, here we are in the high tunnel. You know, it's interesting. People will look at this and they'd say, "Oh my God, look at that! That's just a bunch of weeds. That's all just weeds." But what they're missing is what they're not really looking, because a lot of people don't get or understand how, if you have the knowledge, you can work with the land, and the land can actually provide things that most other people are trying to kill. Give you an example. This right here, this is chickweed. This is what you could use as a replacement for miner's lettuce, which I used to eat when I used to camp back in California. And then something very important, which is medicine. So we have food and medicine. That's plantain. You have a wound, you have a mosquito bite, you just grab this and you can grind it up, chew it up, turn it into a poultice. But here, what people are calling a weed is medicine. And right next to it, I'm growing sage. And right over here, rosemary. You got stuff to plant, like sea buckthorn. Actually, a goji berry, sea buckthorn, another sea buckthorn. And basically, this is a food forest inside of a high tunnel. Apples, bok choy coming, comfrey. That's how trees can heal. We're fixing this pear tree that got munched down by a moose. And that's what's going to do it. Comfrey, which is also called bone knit. So why am I'm talking about all this stuff? Because it's about knowledge. And that's the beauty of the great conversation I had with G. Edward Griffin. And we talk about knowledge and how knowledge is medicine, it's food, it's protection. On that note, I hope you enjoy this conversation. Remember, the Red Pill Expo is coming, and we've got information here for you to follow up on that. But enjoy the great conversation I had with G. Edward Griffin yesterday. Greetings and welcome to the Cork Graham podcast, Critical Thinking Corner. And today I am elated to say that we have with us Mr. G. Edward Griffin. And if you don't know who Mr. Griffin is, we're going to refresh your memory right now.
Our conversation is with Mr. Yuri Alexandrovich Bezmenov. Mr. Bezmenov was born in 1939 in a suburb of Moscow. He was the son of a high-ranking Soviet Army officer. He was educated in the elite schools inside the Soviet Union and became an expert in Indian culture and Indian languages. He had an outstanding career with Novosti, which was and still is, I should say, the press arm or the press agency of the Soviet Union. It turns out that this is also a front for the KGB.
They said these men represented directly through the power that they held in their own hands and indirectly through the money that was concentrated in the investment firms like the insurance companies and the banking companies. Put it all together, they said, was 1/4 of the wealth of the entire world. And you know, that concentration of wealth has only increased since then.
And on that note, thank you, Mr. Griffin, for being here. And how are you doing today?
Well, thank you, Cork, for inviting me. How am I today? I guess I'm pretty good. Happy to be alive. Happy to be in the fight. Happy to be able to make a difference in the world.
Absolutely. And you have. And I wanted to make sure that everybody knew. And I want to personally commend you for all the things that you've done in your life in terms of patriotism. And it's not just patriotism for the United States, but patriotism for people in the things that you've done over your life. And as someone who has tried to do the right thing myself, I look at the things that you've gone through in terms of You had mentioned previously, I'd heard an interview where you could have stayed in advertising, worked in media and everything, but you kept on following this rabbit hole, and the more you got into the rabbit hole, you just couldn't ignore it any. And my father was the one who turned me on to you with your book, Creature from Jekyll Island. And it was an eye opener. It enabled me to see things and actually begin to see things. And they say that there's that old saying is that once you see some things, you can't unsee it. And when that happens, you cannot go back to ignorance or bliss or anything that I always talk about, that ignorance is not bliss, and quite often it's dangerous. I want to start off first by the idea of recognizing that you're still kicking, because like I mentioned before, my dad, he passed in 2012 and he was born in 1930, and you're just a year younger. So same generation, a generation that I feel is very enlightened in terms of having been able to see our history, because you're at that point where you had the original history of like my grandparents and my great grandparents who had that history and that understanding of the world and that education system, and then shifting at about your generation, and then really shifting during the boomers generation, and then they call us the Generation Jones, and how we're between the boomers and the Gen X's, I guess they call it, and they play all this generational division with us, but not in trying to get us away from seeing where we really are. But I'm just impressed. What do you do to keep healthy? That's one of the things that just hits me. I've just been so impressed. I mean, you're totally lucid. You're able to communicate very well. And what is your daily life? If we can get a quick cap of that.
I'm laughing because I am not a role model for that. I think about my younger days. I'm surprised I lived past 20. I'm like most young people. I thought I was invincible. I never thought that I would live to be as old as I am. I figured that everybody was out of steam by the time they reached the age of 65, And when I was, young, in my late teens and early 20s, I thought, well, why worry about it? I'll never get to be past 65, and that's so far away anyway. I'll never get there. I really thought I would live forever, I suppose. But then, of course, life happens, and time goes by, and the first thing you know, instead of being the youngest guy in the block, I'm the oldest guy on the block.
Yeah.
And that happened like in a snap. I don't know. My secret, if there is a secret that makes me probably substantially different from most people, is I've always had an aversion to pharmaceutical drugs. And I have not taken many in my life. I mean, even if I was in great pain, I didn't want to take an aspirin for some reason. I'd rather just, I don't know, I had the feeling that, hey, my body is going to take care of this. I don't need any of these stinking pills that come from the drugstore. I didn't know what I was talking about. Years later, I found out that was pretty wise, but I had no substance for it. So that's about the only thing. For years, I'd go to the doctors once in a while. I very seldom would go, but if I had to. My wife usually gets these things in the mail every couple of years, for a couple of bucks, very cheap. You can get all these tests, run on your body for a low price. You don't have to go to the doctor and spend a lot of money. And so she always said, well, come on, let's go get these tests and see how we're doing. And so I would go. And I say that because I usually don't go to doctors unless I had a broken bone or something like that. So typically what would happen is the nurse or the young man that was there taking in the information would say, well, Mr. Griffin, how old are you? How, let's weigh you in. And they'd say, well, what meds are you on? And I'd say, meds? You mean, what's that? She said, I mean, medications. What medications are you on? I'd say, well, none. And she said, no, you don't understand, Mr. Griffin. What medications do you take? Especially as I got older in my 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
They would look at me, they thought I was lying. And I said, you mean those toxic pills that give sick people to make them sicker? I didn't say that, but I was thinking that. And said, yeah, meds. And I said, well, I'm really not on any. They couldn't believe that I didn't take medications regularly. And I've always refused to do that. And just show you how radical I have been in that little narrow department, I decided years and years ago not to use soap. I figured, soap, they call it Dove and Pure and all that, but I knew what went into those soaps for the fragrance and for the feel and so forth. And I knew that they were toxic. And I knew that the shampoos were the same thing. And so I just said, I'll just scrub myself real hard with a scrubber, and get the skin off. And I think I was acceptable in social circles.
Well, you're bringing something up right now, which has actually become a movement that I never would even known about, which is called the the no poo movement. And you go, what are you talking about? No poo? What it is no shampoo. And it's because for the same reasons you're talking about, is they notice that the hair will actually when you scrub and just wash with water. I use borax. Borax is actually a traditional cleanser of removing the too much oil. And there's this movement that's going around. They say it's because it's healthier for your body, healthier for your hair, to not use all these different types of soaps that, like, the original soaps were okay, but all these new ones in the last 40, 50 years are just, they're toxic.
Yeah.
Totally
They are toxic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they smell good,
Yeah. Initially.
you pay for that smell. And so anyway, that's about the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I've like most young people, young males anyway, I drank too much booze when I was young. I was never over the cliff, but weekends came and the guys would have to go out and what guys do, and they tell lies to each other.
Yeah.
So, but I got over that. I gave that up a long time ago, and thank God. So those two things, I don't toxify my body.
Exactly. Okay.
By convenience, and that includes the shampoo and my hair and all of that stuff. Oh, and even water that comes out of the spigot. I filter my water.
Okay.
I don't trust the water that comes out of the pipe anymore. And by the way, I put filters on the shower in the bathroom, the shower, because that water is loaded with fluorides and very toxic stuff.
Yeah.
And skin is a very porous organ. And if you wouldn't drink it, why would you put it on your outside of your body? Because it's all absorbed right into your body through your skin. So that's about the only thing that makes me a little bit weird from the average person. So it must have something to do with that, and probably a lot to do with luck.
Yeah. Well, and basically, it seems like you're basically living a lifestyle in terms of health that like my great grandfather would have had pre-modern chemicals on this planet, and how they've just been
exactly how I felt.
Totally mixed up. Totally mixed up. Yeah. On that note, I'd like to talk about individualism, because here you are, an individual. You're thinking for yourself. You're looking at the facts. You've throughout your life, you have looked past the propagandas that we've been constantly hit by. And I wanted to get an idea of how do you think it got going? I mean, I've talked with you about like the 1910 hijacking and the phenomenal interview you did with Norman Dodd about the Carnegie Endowment and the Rockefeller Foundation, and how they specifically targeted the American people to start, but then expanded out with, I forget which one did the international dumbing down of the world and which one focused on the American dumbing down of our citizens. With that famous quote of Rockefeller saying, I don't want thinkers, I want workers. So they want worker bees to work in their industrial factories.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what does it mean to be an individualist as compared to a collectivist? And the reason I bring that up is because I have a friend from Hungary who is in the medical field. He actually teaches in Hungary. He used to teach here in the States and in Hungary, but he actually in '68 swam across the lake from Hungary to get to Austria, got to New York, and was studying to be a doctor in medical school. And then he got the letter from the president saying that, welcome to the U.S. Army. And he went to Vietnam, but luckily he ended up being a medic, a hospital corpsman actually in Vietnam. And he was asking me just this week, he says, what is happening to the country? What is happening to America? And I just flat out told him, he says, I had to tell him it's part of the plan. It's the plan. They've dumbed us down. And he could not, he did not want to believe it, but I could tell in his voice that he believed it and he understood it, but he just did not want to look at what had been done for 100 years, especially in this country. And we see that, in the rest of the world. But how is it that we can get out of it or get back to it? I mean, there's the information that you have available for all of us. And I'm going to mention the Red Pill Expo that you're going to have. It's the 11th and 12th of July. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
That's correct.
July 11th and 12th of July. And that'll be in Vegas, or is
Las
that
Vegas.
in Las Vegas? Okay.
Right.
And again, it's informing people. So when somebody brings up an individual, they think it's a very selfish person, but that's not the case, is it?
No, not at all. And I'm glad you brought that up because all of a sudden we're talking about ideology. Most of the time people talk about world events, things that happen. Somebody got shot, the price of gold went up, the cost of bread went down, or there's a war going on. They talk about things are happening to us and around us, but seldom do people talk about principles. And I think that this is one of our problems, not just in America, but around the world, is that people are not conscious of principles very much. They don't think about them. They don't talk about them. They always talk about events or personalities or material things. And I was part of that when I was a young man. I was only concerned about material things, but that's another topic. When you mentioned the word collectivism and individualism, I think you used them both. That put a little goosebump up my back because I've been working for years since about 2020 to put those two words back into the American vocabulary, collectivism versus individualism, because those are the only two words I discovered in my journey through life, the only words that describe political ideology in the world. All the rest are words of confusion, non-definition. You can't figure out what they mean. Everybody has an affinity towards some, and they hate other words, but they don't know why, except that they're bad or good or something like that. In fact, I'm about to launch into what could be a very long and boring lecture, so I'll try and keep it short and boring.
Well, if you have the energy, I have the time, and I think our listeners do too.
Thank
so
you.
We're fine.
I think, well, first of all, words. Words are so important. Oh my gosh, we could not think as humans without words. Without words. And that's why usually greater masterpieces of literature and greater inventions come from the civilizations where the vocabulary is very rich, and civilizations where there are few words, that they don't produce much, because everything you need for the important things that we consider advancement are based on abstractions, words that mean things that are not physical. They're relationships, like the number 7. What is that? Did anybody ever hold this number 7 in their hand? No, it's a concept. It's in the brain, and brain of love and passion and fear and hate and all the things. The really important things in life are not physical. They're abstracts. So we need words in order to identify those abstractions in so many little minor variance of meaning from one word to the next. So anyway, I'm off track already. I used to think a lot about words. But anyway, I discovered in my own inquiry about what's going on in the world is that an interesting phenomenon has occurred, and that is that the despots of at least modern history have all written books, and their followers have manuscripts of descriptions, word descriptions of what they believe in.
Mm-hmm.
But those of us on the other side who do not want tyranny, and we want what we call liberty or freedom,
Yes.
we do not have one single book or treatise that covers the whole schmear,
Mm-hmm.
not even close.
Mm-hmm.
A little dissertation here, an essay there. Some author from a different era in history has written a book and he covers some of it. None of it has ever been brought together in one piece, one document. No wonder we are losing this war.
Yes.
Because we don't even know what we're fighting for. We don't agree on it. We don't understand it. So that's one of the reasons I've been trying for quite a few years now
Mm-hmm.
to break that condition. And as a matter of fact, I've been writing another book for quite a
good.
while.
Good.
And
Great.
One of the purposes of writing that book is to provide a document that does define all, and I mean all, of the things that we cherish and believe in, and to describe them in terms of principles.
Yes.
Not just that, oh, isn't it nice to have freedom of speech?
Yeah.
That's closer, but what is freedom of speech?
Mm-hmm.
How much freedom of speech? Under what conditions can you tell a lie? That's speech. Is that freedom to speak a lie? Is it you have to really get down to the nitty-gritties if you're going to come up with a principle that has no exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we don't have one of those. Wouldn't it be nice if I could contribute that in my lifetime?
Yes.
And I just got serious about that recently. And so, but I've been working on it for so long, and I'm worried I may not finish it. But so about a year ago or a year and a half ago, I took everything from my book that I've been working on and extracted that part which dealt with the principles only.
Okay.
Just the principle, because it covers a lot of other things as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I put them all together in a 50-page document that I called the chasm.
Ah, yes.
The chasm.
Yes.
And that, of course, is the collectivism versus individualism, the issue behind all issues. This is the cover that I designed for the booklet or the pamphlet or the document.
And I read that book, and I highly recommend it. I'm going to have a link to this book.
Oh, you have read
so
this.
Everybody can click on it.
Oh, wonderful.
Get a
But it's
copy.
not really a book, it's a little like a report. It's only 50 pages.
It's a booklet, yeah, but it's
a booklet. Okay, let's go with that.
It's heavy. It's deep. It's deep.
Yeah.
And I think it hits it right on the mark. It hits it right on the mark.
This is just the cover of one.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, if anybody wants a copy of this for free, all you have to do is go on the internet and type in the word chasm. That's CHASM. That means the big division, like the canyon that they're showing.
And it's a good read, and it's very it's very enlightening.
Yeah, I'll take that photo. So anyway, if they just type in the word chasm, and it would be chasm.realityzone.com, and that'll take you to the website, and anybody can read it, all 50 pages of it. They can also print it out and print it on their own computer, and it's free. I hope everybody reads it, because the reason is that if we don't know what we believe in, what are we fighting for?
Yes.
We can be easily fooled. We'll be winding up with, we think we know what we're fighting for, and we'll wind up creating exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
Which I recognized when I was doing research for the creature from Jekyll Island. It was a big part of the banking history that goes over the world wars,
Yes.
And I remember coming to the realization during World War II that we were abandoning the principles of our Constitution, the principles of limited power to the state, being severely limited, and we were throwing those aside to have more flexibility so we could defeat the communists and the Nazis, right? I said, we can't win a war by being too concerned about all this stuff.
Yeah.
We got to beat these guys no matter what it takes. It's life or death, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of logic to that. So people say, yeah, this is war, man. We can't talk about constitutions. You know,
Yeah.
if you're underwater, if you're 12 feet underwater and you're running out of breath, you're not going to care about a constitution.
Yeah.
You want to get up to where you can breathe, man. You know, so that's wartime is always why we have these wars, because people are in positions they can't be too fussy.
Yeah.
And they'll abandon. So anyway, I decided we had to get rid of all that and come up with this. So I think this is the basis for a complete change in history.
Yes.
And once we know what we're fighting for, we have a chance of winning the war.
And it's who we were. I mean, that's the thing that just floors me.
That's who we were.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we weren't perfect at it, that's for sure. The Constitution of the United States, you know, I'm not just bragging about the US, but fortunately that's where it started, was the first time that the principles of individualism, as described here, were incorporated into a legal document. Now, it's the first time.
Yeah.
And it was not perfect. It was like a beta model. It's exactly what it was. No one had ever done that before. And a lot of compromises had to be made in order to get the bloody thing passed. And slavery was approved, not really approved, but it wasn't rejected because they couldn't have gotten all the states to agree. So there were flaws. But nevertheless, for a beta model, it was a huge leap forward. And so, anyway, most people have no idea what liberty is based upon. They think being free is simply not being in jail. That's it. And they will accept any kind of totalitarian orders from the government. After all, it's the government, you know. If the government says you got to do this, do it. Because that's the law. And they have no wonder we're losing this battle.
And when you say that you had an enlightenment about it and you could see it as collectivism versus individualism, did that occur during the conversation with Norman Dodd? Because as I recall in that conversation, he uses that terminology quite a bit in his talk with you.
Yeah.
Was that about the time or was it before that you'd already been using that language?
Well, I hadn't been using it at that time. I was familiar with it. And Norman Dodd, I'm sure, used that word. Because you find it in all the old books. From now, let's say 150 years ago, any book on political science would use the words collectivism and individualism as the opposite. It was the only ideological option available. It wasn't until I started to really study what communism was all about and what fascism and Nazism was all about, started reading the works of those authors, Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin and Karl Marx, and taking notes as to what these principles were, that I realized that communism and fascism are not opposites at all. They're exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I had gone through the university being told that the communism was extreme left wing and extreme right wing was fascism. And I didn't know that they were exactly the same until I had read the books on both sides. And who does that, you know? And so, and we're forced to take a choice between right or left. Come on, they're the same.
Yeah.
No wonder we're not making any progress.
You even see it now, you know, with the kids now when they're Antifa. They think they're going against fascists, but they're the same thing on the other side.
They are. By principle, yes. Yeah. And in fact, communism, fascism, Nazism, socialism, New Dealism, you name it, all these words, they're variants of the same thing called collectivism.
Collectivism,
And the centralmost idea of collectivism, there are about 7 or 8 of them, but the one that describes it in the largest parameter is this phrase. All of these ideologies I just mentioned, communist, fascist, Nazis, socialist, all the rest, they believe that the group is more important than the individual, and that the individual must be sacrificed, if necessary, for the greater good of the greater number. That's the core of collectivism. And Cork, you and I both know that 99% of Americans believe that.
Yeah, sadly. Yeah.
99.999% of the world population believes
yeah.
it. The world has been tricked into accepting collectivism in its rawest form. And we wonder what happened to victory, what happened to freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we want is because we've never fought for it. Even the American founding fathers had written and described it in many areas, but never had all the principles of individualism versus collectivism been identified. So naturally, who's going to advocate an ideology that you can't even describe?
And that brings
Let
up
me give
question.
one more example, if I may. And you already know this, but you might probably have listeners that are saying, what is he talking about? Give me an example. Okay, here's an example. One of the principles of the 7 that I identified that was common to all forms of collectivism, and which was opposed by individualism, all of them, was this one. And that is the source of state power. What is the source of state power? Now, notice I used the word state and not government.
Yeah.
Because I think the government is a misnomer. It's the most common word, but it's the wrong word, and that also is one of the problems. Who wants a government? What is a government? Who wants to be governed? A government means to govern, right? How many people do you know that want to be governed? I don't know anybody. What do we want the state to do for us? Not to govern us, but to protect us. I think we should be calling this thing that we call government, we should call it a protectorate, would be a better word for it. Now, when we talk about it, we're talking something that means something. So I'm going to call it a protectorate or just call it the state. Now, where does the protectorate state get its power? To use force against us all, even to kill us if necessary. Imprison us, torture us, put us into pain, take away our property, put us in prisons, or to electrocute us or shoot us. Where does it get this power? All of its power comes from the people, we are told. A just state derives its power, its just power, from the consent of the people. That's everybody believes that, they say, but they don't live by it. But they say it because, and by the way, I believe it's a true statement. Now that means that everything that the state does must be something that the individuals themselves can do without the state.
Correct.
Because that's where the state got its power.
Yes.
If you and I can't do it, we can't delegate it to some politician to do it. Okay, this is a very important thought. Now, the collectivists believe that the state can do anything it wants, whatever it thinks is good or justified or whatever it wants to do. It doesn't. All it needs to do is get 51% of the vote, and we won. We can put you in jail because we don't like you. Because we won the election. There's no limitation on what you can do if you win. So that's because they believe that the majority should rule. It's in the best interest of the greater number of the greater number. That numbers are all that's important under collectivism. Do you have 51% or not? So now, do you and I have the power to tell our neighbor not to open his store on Sunday? No, we can't use force on him or put him in jail or kill him because he doesn't follow our orders because he wants to open his store on Sunday and we don't think he should. Can we force our neighbor to teach his children certain things in school? No, they're his kids, not ours. We can't do that. How can we vote for a politician who says, well, we're going to determine what they teach in school. You have no say over this. They can't get that power because the people themselves don't have it. You go down the list and I guarantee you over 90%, probably over 95% of all the laws on the books today violate this principle. They do things that individual citizens themselves cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a principle. Individualists believe that the power of the state comes from the state itself, from the politicians who vote.
Yes.
That's where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Individualists believe it comes from them.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They believe that their rights,
Mm-hmm.
some people believe it's God-given rights.
Mm-hmm.
Others who don't want to use that word for whatever reason, I think it's silly. They think, well, anyway, it's hardwire. It's hardwired in me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not software, it's hardware. When I'm born, I have that right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's an intrinsic right.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you believe it comes from God or it comes from where God. That's my right, and I'm born it, and I don't need some politician to tell me what my right is. I tell him what my right is.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's a principle.
Mm-hmm.
That's a principle. And I guarantee you that there are very few people on this planet that have ever heard of that principle
Mm-hmm.
before in their lives. And yet, there we have it.
And looking at this, I mean, we've gone from a point where it was from the bottom up, and now the direction is from the top down,
Yes.
telling us what to do.
Yeah.
And it brings up the question of, quote, the New World Order, because during your conversation with Yuri Bezmenov, he was talking about how to make friends between Soviets and Americans. And so, you can't put water and oil together, but you can mix a little bit and you can emulsify a little bit of the water with a little bit of oil, and you turn someone from an individualistic society into a collective, aka socialist, and then it's a little bit easier to mix it with communism, and then you can control the whole world that way. And listening to your conversation with Yuri Bezmenov, I mean, it's almost like, I think about it, it's almost like a predator that has killed its prey, and the predator has already died off, as it did in 1991, but yet the prey has already been is dying because of that, because of the initial attack.
Well,
from
what
the
predator?
Soviets, but
What
they were just
predator?
fools.
But what predator died off?
The Soviet Union.
Well, that wasn't. No, the Soviet Union wasn't the predator. Collectivism was the predator.
Collectivism, yeah.
Yeah, that didn't die.
Yeah, yeah.
The Soviet Union was just a name on a
Yeah.
state, and America is just as collectivist
Uh-huh.
as the Soviet
We're
Union
more
was.
Soviet. We're more Soviet.
We're more Soviet today than they were.
Yeah.
So forget forget the words like America and the Soviet Union or England and so on. We're talking about collectivism.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I want to bring these words back into the vocabulary.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't think straight without using the right words.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how they separate us, is through the politics. They have us distracted with the politics instead of what they're really changing is the base down
Yes.
below, which is not realizing who we were. Yeah.
The principles, yeah.
Yes, the principles and the morality of a people. I mean, what does moral
Right.
mean? And as I had mentioned in my email, I was asking about what do you think are the thoughts and intentions of AI and how it's being used? I think it's artificial intelligence, in terms of it's so easy for people to use it, as though it's like, well, why even think about it? Just let the AI do it, and we don't have to think about it, and then you get it even more into a collective because the AI is doing it for you, and you're just fulfilling it physically. I mean,
Well, in my view, I'm glad you said what's my opinion on it. I see AI as the ultimate form of collectivism, the ultimate form of collectivism,
Mm-hmm.
because it's being marketed to us
Mm-hmm.
as being impartial, as being intelligent, and not having all those terrible imperfections that humans have.
Mm.
There'll be no fraud in no fraud in AI because they're computers. Computers are incapable of fraud, right?
Yeah.
Wrong. Computers are programmed to be fraudulent. They
Yeah.
pick their fraudulent. They'll be very honest on some things, but they will be programmed to. The programmers call it training.
Mm-hmm.
They want us to think that they're training these computer chips. They like to use words that make the computers sound human, like they're being trained. They're not being programmed. They're being trained. You understand?
Yeah. It's trained. It is. Yeah. It's training. Yeah.
It's programming. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And there are people doing that. And these AI machines, I have to admit, they are wonderfully useful for gathering data,
Mm-hmm.
but they're ultimately wondrously useful for propaganda also, because they will hide data and promote and give favoritism to other data, and they're being programmed to do that already.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been lots of examples. I have one even myself where I was able to get the system to confess that it was being programmed.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it has to answer the truth.
Yeah.
It has to answer what has been told is the truth.
Yeah.
See,
Answer the
that's the
question.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can program a computer that this is truth and that is not truth. Oh, thank you. Now I got my data straight.
Hmm.
And so if you look me up or you up on AI, it'll probably say, oh, these men are well-known conspiracy theorists.
Uh-huh.
Now, they all do that already.
Yeah.
Now, where did they get that from?
Yeah.
That's been programmed in. It wasn't in a way that they've been told to use the word conspiracy theorists with your name and my name. It's because the data that they have been given does that.
Yes.
And it just draws from that data.
Yes.
They draw data from the New York Times. Yeah. They draw data from all the socialist magazines. And they draw data from everybody that uses that kind of a bias in their language. So the computers think, because of their algorithms, they call that thinking, that is truth, because it shows up over and over and over again. But somebody else could do the same thing in reverse and get rid of all of those collectivist sources of information. And if they took all of your writings and my writings and some of my friends' writings and put those into AI, why it would tell our perspective. Don't tell me that AI is intrinsically true or honest. It depends on who programs them.
Exactly.
It always will be that way.
Exactly.
And no, you asked my question, what do I think it was designed to do? It was designed to control us by controlling the information we get and convincing that no matter what information we get, it's got to be valid, because AI is just a machine. It cannot lie. It's true. It cannot lie, but it can be programmed to lie.
How do you counteract something like that that's so accepted through the masses?
Oh, that's a good question too. I don't really know, but I have a theory.
Okay.
And I think that the only way to combat that is to offset it by making everything open source. Everything should be open source. And I think people should be allowed, if they want to, because I believe in freedom, to develop an AI system that has favoritism. Why not? They're doing it. I mean, we have bookstores that specialize in engineering books. We have bookstores that specialize in Catholic books. We have bookstores that specialize in, you name something we don't like. Let's say they specialize in pornography. Disgusting. Do we have the power to prevent our neighbor from reading those books, even though we would like them not to? We can't go next door and say, you're going to jail if you read a book like that, or we're going to kill you. No, we can't. So we can't delegate that to the state either. So if you want to live in a free society, you have to live in a free society.
Yeah.
And that means, short of taking away your own liberty and your own life and liberty, the state is that's what the state is supposed to do with that power. It can use coercion on us only for the things that we can use coercion for. And what is that? What can we kill somebody for? If they're trying to kill us, if they're trying to kill us, we can defend our life. What if they're trying to enslave us? You better believe it.
Yeah.
And the show stops there.
Yeah.
So the function of the state, the just state, is to protect us, our lives, and our liberty.
Yeah.
Period. Nothing else.
Yeah.
It's so simple. What a beautiful system it would be if the state merely protected our lives and our liberty and nothing else. Didn't try us how to live. We would figure out how to live correctly. Not everybody would agree with us. Not everybody would be would agree that we're on the right side. But, if you want to be free, you have to let be free.
Yeah.
As long as they don't interfere with your life and your liberty,
Mm-hmm.
that's the rule. It's a little bit hard for some people to think because by golly, they should do what the Bible says or something, or my uncle said,
Mm-hmm.
or they will do what I said because I know it's right.
Yeah.
All of these things. But when you get down to the principles and you realize that what is the source of power,
Mm-hmm.
it's the individuals, and only what individuals can use coercion for is what the state should be allowed to tell us what to do. That means 90% of the laws on the books today would be removed.
Yeah.
And we would be free.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting how we have so many laws in this country and we've moved so far away from the origins, because when I read the Constitution, it's a very simple document. It's it's a declaration. So it's declarative. It tells you things. You do not need a barrister, which is what our system was back in England. We would need a barrister to defend us. We should be able to be in court and be able to defend ourselves privately, personally, not have to rely on a lawyer to do it. But when the lawyers would come in and they continue to build all these different laws so we can't understand it, and we are the ones who are going to pay for it, whether with our life or with our property, that shows me that the country has just shifted so far from the origins, which is the common man should be able to understand the laws upon which he's ruled.
Yeah.
And rules with. Yeah.
Our governments have been stolen.
Yeah.
They've been stolen. They've been captured by collectivists. Now, some of them are white people, some of them are black people, but they're collectivists.
Yeah.
Some are men, some are women, but they're collectivists. Some are Catholics and some are Jews, but they're all collectivists. Some are in China, and some are in you name the country that you don't like, but they're all collectivists.
Yeah.
And our problem does not run in the race or the color of our skin or our culture. It's what we believe in terms of collectivism versus individualism. That is it.
Yeah.
And nobody has yet in history zeroed in on that. And that's why we're having these problems.
Yeah.
Once the majority of the people understand that it's all about individualism versus collectivism and all the variants of that, then we don't even need a Bill of Rights. When you think about it, the Constitution was almost there, but it didn't go far enough. It all it had to say is these are the areas of authority of the federal government, and that's it. Nothing else. Everything else should be reversed or reserved to the states or to the people, and that's in the Constitution. But it also opened up the gates by leaving such phrases as what do they call it? The common good or the common welfare.
Yeah, the common welfare.
Clause.
Yeah.
Oh, then an attorney, well, this is for the common welfare of the state. Yeah. Oh, well, I guess it is. Yeah. But wait a minute. Who says it is? So they break out of the principles when you start using those Weasley words, like for the common.
Weasley,
good.
yes, exactly.
Weasley words.
Yeah, yeah.
We need words with principles, not Weasley words like happiness.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like America's used to make statements. Now we use the Weasley words like, "Oh, we're in a war. We're not in a war. We're kind of in a war. We made a deal." And it's just like, just constantly. It's just changed so much, and it's like, I'm 60. Yeah, Michael, Jan, and I are both the same age. Born in '64, and we're young enough to appreciate, at the same time, old enough to remember, and it's just wild. I mean, and how quickly in the last 30 years everything has just flipped, and it's almost like a boat, that was sinking, and then suddenly the hull just flips over on its back, and we're right now trying to right the boat again and see if we can.
Yeah. Well, even if we could, it wouldn't work if we didn't have the wheel.
Yeah.
What do they call the wheel, I guess, on the ship, to steer the ship. If we have no principles, no gyroscope, no way to tell whether we're on the right path or not, then it doesn't make whether the difference whether the ship sinks or not. It's not going to be a ship we want to be on because it'll be run by crooks.
Yeah. I mean, it's constant. We're at a point right now with the Senate and the Congress that that everyone is owned, and they make
Yeah.
decisions that do not represent the people in any shape or form,
No.
and go
No.
against the campaign promises constantly.
Mm. Mhm.
Constantly. I mean, it's even worse than history when we read history about how governments have been hijacked by criminals. It's
Well,
just
but you accidentally maybe brought up a really good topic. They don't keep their campaign promises. And I say,
yeah.
that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Have you looked at these campaign promises?
Mm.
They're going to put a car in every garage. They're
Yeah.
going to give everybody this money. They're going to give you this free and give you that free. But that's all stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
first of all, it's impossible.
Yeah.
Secondly, attempting to do it bankrupts the whole nation
Yeah.
and puts everybody out in the street.
Mm-hmm.
You know, electricity going to go off, and the water won't come out of the pipes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad they can't keep those campaign promises.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is that they should, if they were sincere, they would try, but they don't really try. They know that the things they're promoting are destructive, and they want destruction so that people will be in desperate straits and have no place to turn to survive except to the government.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
I'm just wondering how long it'll take before the mass actually gets it that they're about to get their back against the wall. Because from my experiences in Central America and friends that I've talked to about, we've talked amongst ourselves, when are people going to start fighting? And it's like I learned in Central America, people don't start fighting until their children start dying. When their children start dying, that's when a populace starts fighting. But by that time, it's so late.
Yeah,
It's
but
so
the
late.
populace, but don't forget the populace has to know what it's fighting for.
That too. Yeah. Yeah.
All they want to do is kill somebody.
Yeah,
That's not
exactly.
to do it either.
Then you have
That's not it.
revolution. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a revolution.
Yeah.
I mean, the bad
Chaos
guys
is what
did
it
that.
is, yeah.
So let's kill the bad guys, and
Mhm.
we'll put ourselves in there. And of course, they turn out to be eventually just as bad as the others
Yeah.
because they believe the same thing. They all are
Yes.
collectivists.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
just fighting over dominance and territory. Neither side is where you want to be.
So
In most cases, what do you think about the Republicans and the Democrats? Do they really represent opposites on anything?
mm-mm.
Something maybe minor, I don't know, but nothing of great
Yeah.
importance that can't be changed and flip-flopped from election to election.
Yeah. They're the same coin, just like we are talking about with socialists and communists. And here it's Republican and Democrat, but they're the same coin, and it's become a very tarnished coin
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
late, with all this criminal activity.
Mhm.
So your book, I mean, are you thinking that you've got a deadline of when you're going to finish the one that can more accurately define?
Yeah. Yeah, about 5 years ago.
Oh, 5 years ago.
Yeah, that was my deadline.
Oh man.
Yeah, well, I'm working on it.
Yeah,
Right
yeah.
now, I'm putting all my time in on the Red Pill Expo right now.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But as soon as that's over, I'll be back on the book.
So who are you having at the Red Pill Expo? Is it and maybe
Well-
what topics are they going to be covering?
Well, I really should bring up the screen and read them off to you, but I'll try and remember some of them. We have repeat presenters.
Mhm.
Some of them are so good and they have so many topics that we invite them back. Not David, Dr. Artis, for example, is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's known pretty much as the snake doctor,
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
the guy that told everybody that most of the pharmaceutical drugs out there have snake venom in them.
Oh, wow.
And of course, they laughed and ridiculed him. They got to be serious. That's impossible. Well, now, of course, we know that he was right. They're trying to discredit him by saying, well, there's not enough snake venom to go in all those medications. That's true. But what they do is they imitate this snake venom.
Yeah. The chemical
It's
breakdown.
artificial.
Mhm.
It's artificial snake venom.
Oh, wow.
And but they took it from snakes to start with,
Interesting.
and they do it because it is toxic. Now they will say that they're doing it for other qualities, and they're taking the toxicity as a side effect.
Wow.
But I mean, some of us know better.
Yeah.
They know better. Did you ever hear of a doctor in modern world curing anything?
No, they always take care of the symptoms, but they don't really cure
Yeah.
the
Do you know
disease
anybody that's been
problem.
cured? There might be, I would say, accidentally,
Yeah,
but the
they on
whole,
their own. Yeah.
yeah, on the whole business model
Hmm.
of Western medicine has evolved into um, treatments.
Treatments, correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
treatments.
yeah,
So they say, well, we can't cure you, but we'll keep you alive,
yeah.
keep you working, but you got to keep buying our drugs every week and every month.
Mm,
But don't worry, the government will pay for
hmm.
it. Yeah,
And
that's
were you
it.
going to mention was it a David when you said David, is David Webb going to be there? David Rogers Webb?
Don't no, I don't think David will be able to make it.
Okay.
I would like to get a report from him though to see
Okay.
what status is on that.
Okay.
But well, anyway, I mentioned artists because he's the guy that told everybody that nicotine was not as bad as people thought it was, and they laughed at him. Said, "Are you kidding? Nicotine is addictive and it's toxic, and kids are dying smoking and so forth." And it turns out that he was right. Nicotine is not addictive. What's addictive are all those chemicals that are put in the cigarettes for flavor.
Hmm.
But the nicotine itself is not
Huh.
addictive. And oh well, I guess we didn't know that. And also, we now know that the body, every cell in the body, I think it's every cell or almost every cell,
Mhm.
they all have receptors, as the medicals call them,
Hmm.
and we all have nicotine receptors. That's their official name on almost every cell in our body, which means the cells are looking for nicotine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they'll attract it. And that's why the people who smoke didn't come down with COVID so much as those who did smoke. The other way around, excuse me. The smokers were almost never infected by COVID. It's
Huh.
because the COVID. I'm having trouble thinking of those technical names, but the COVID molecule
Hmm.
is very similar to the nicotine molecule.
Okay.
And if there's no nicotine in the body, these COVID things will go into the nicotine receptors. And of course, that's very
Oh,
toxic.
gotcha.
But if
Okay.
nicotine is in the body, it'll take the nicotine first. And
And
so the
block it.
COVID is bypassed
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
it's not absorbed into the body.
Huh.
And now that turns out to be true. It's a true statement.
Interesting.
Now, nobody's advocating smoking.
Hmm.
It's just smoking can be really bad for you for a lot of reasons. But nicotine is not one of those reasons.
Interesting.
Now, isn't it interesting that now President Trump and all the whole medical establishment is all of a sudden going to ban nicotine completely? That's been in the news lately.
Wow.
They don't want people to be immune to these molecules.
I mean,
They
it's
got to
it's
put
it's
it
a
off
dark thought. It's a dark
it's a-
thought what they're trying to. We've talked
we
about
run
this
into
with
this all the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
All the stuff that's good for you, they say this is bad for you.
yeah.
Anyway, so Artist is doing that, and this time around he'll be talking about something similar
Hmm.
in field of cancer.
Oh,
I can
okay.
hardly wait to find that out. So,
And this is all listed on the page on
it's
the.
all listed. Yeah,
Okay, great.
it's all listed there,
Mhm.
and it's a very loaded program because I tried very hard with our speakers to
Mhm.
find something that they know
Hmm.
about this illusion between reality
Yeah, yeah.
and
We talked offline about the
illusion.
contrails and the effect here in the remote
Yeah,
area of Alaska, and yet they could do the contrails and change the weather within 30 minutes and affect the
yeah,
oceans and cause respiratory issues with people and then
yeah,
supposedly it's all fake, depending on
yeah.
who you're listening to. Yeah,
You people are just you're listening to too many conspiracy theorists.
exactly, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So anyway, golly, I wish I could open my screen and show you. But anyway, we've got a wonderful team there, and I'll be speaking. I don't include myself as a wonderful team, but my topic, I'm pretty sure, is going to be more about psychological warfare.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that is the warfare of our day.
Yeah,
We have the most powerful weapons that the world has ever
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah.
But more powerful than atomic bombs, more powerful than directed energy weapons,
Mm-hmm.
more powerful than biological weapons,
Mm-hmm.
are psychological weapons.
Mm-hmm.
For example, and this is one I'm thinking about right now, a Chinese philosopher of the 5th century BC by the name of Sun Tzu
Mm-hmm.
wrote a whole list of war principles, and it was packaged into what later became a book called The Art of War
Mm-hmm.
by
Very
Sun
well known.
Tzu.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think all the military academies of the world use that book as a textbook
Yep.
for their military today. And to me, one of the most impressive lessons that was in that book goes something like this. Supreme excellence in warfare is to defeat your enemy without having to engage him in battle.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's one
Yes.
of them.
Yes.
And when you think about that, how do you defeat your enemy without engaging him in battle?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is clear. Convince him he cannot win.
Yeah. Or
Now-
he's already lost.
Well, that's yeah. He cannot win. He's already lost.
Yeah.
Too big.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's happening to the mind of the awakening population today?
Yeah.
Ask all of them. Nobody will say we stand a chance.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone too far. They're
Yeah.
everywhere. They run the government. They're in the schools, the media, the jails. I mean, churches everywhere. You kidding?
Mm-hmm.
You expect to stand against that?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not going to fight. I'm going to do what I'm told. I'm, in other words, defeated without fighting, and I'm not talking about fighting physically. They're not even fighting psychologically.
Correct.
They've already, in their minds, they've already been captured in their minds.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been talking about that's the warfare, that's the type of warfare we're involved in today. And these physical weapons, as horrible as they are,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not knocking that at all. Yeah, these can be horrible things, but they're more powerful as scare weapons than they
Yeah.
are as actually used weapons.
You
If
bring
they
a
can
solid
scare the
point.
population.
Solid point. Yeah.
That's all. They're not going to fight. They're not going to resist,
Mm-hmm.
and they just say, "Tell me what to do."
Yeah. I've had actual comments exactly that wording, which is, I mean, what can we do? I don't see what I can do, and you can see the desperation
Mhm.
in the commentary, on YouTube and on the Apple Podcast. It brings up a question to me now, and my experiences and your experiences dealing with corporate media, mine going back to the 80s and watching and then observing how what we thought was news was actually propaganda, and it's a tool, one of the many tools that's used amongst the populace. What are your thoughts on how even, let's say, the internet and YouTube is I see this with Joe Rogan, I've seen it with other channels where they had a format, and then suddenly that format, they become suddenly very successful, and all the subscriber numbers go up, and the finances start appearing out of pennies from heaven. And I noticed there's a shift, and that shift is as my booby trap senses start popping up. Something's on the trail. You don't want to walk down that trail. And I realize it's a new they've hijacked it. They have hijacked that show, and I'm watching it. And how do you see people being able to defend against that in the mind again, which we're talking about
Yeah.
is critical.
Well, first they have to recognize it.
Yes.
But this has been going on for a long time, and you go back, I think, all the way to World War I,
Mm-hmm.
where these elitists, or I call them the oligarchs,
Oligarchs.
were using their wealth to purchase empires, media empires, the big
Yes.
newspapers, television stations, and so forth. And that process has been going on continually. Further consolidation, further. There are only 2 or 3 entities left,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually there'll only be one,
Mm-hmm.
and they're highly influenced, totally influenced by the oligarchy that I used to describe it, which is very wealthy people. And I think at the at the apex of that, we were talking about the international banking fraternity.
Mhm.
That's really the core of it.
Yeah.
Although I think there's some occult components there that are very ugly. But
Older,
I
even
can't
older than the
prove
bankers,
that.
I think. I think the bankers just
It
other
could
foot
well be,
soldiers
yeah.
for this
Yeah.
group. Yeah.
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 Yeah. But even without that, it's a very small group,
Hmm.
and they're very wealthy and very powerful.
Powerful. Yeah.
So what do you do about it? Well, first of all, you have to decide that you want to try.
Hmm.
If you just say
Exactly.
it's useless,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
resistance is futile.
Trying to remember which movie that
That's
was
what they
from.
want.
Oh, the
Yeah,
Borg. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, the Borg.
Jeez. It's terrifying. It's
So that's what it
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you defeat your enemy without engaging him in battle?
Yeah.
You defeat him through his mind.
Yeah.
And this is where the real warfare of our time is being played out.
Yeah.
So I'll be talking about
And we were
and
talking.
others. Well,
What was that?
go ahead.
Oh, well, we were talking earlier before we started recording, which you wanted me to mention Tacitus, and that's exactly it. If you could have your enemies suddenly become your favorite foot soldier, aka the Britons, or
Mm.
even before that the Teutonics, and how they got them in, which was they started showing them all the wealth and pleasure of Rome, and Agricola, and saying, well, and all the Britons were just enjoying the linen and the baths in England, Bath, England, which is named after the Roman baths. That you've got them. They're willing. They're so happy to be part of the slavery team. It's
Yeah.
wild that what we have now with how wealth is used in this country and in other countries where it's almost like they're willing to sell their souls and their freedom just for a little bit more silver and gold or whatever they think they can get. I mean, it's just
Yeah, that's true. Well, human nature is that way, isn't it?
mm,
I've given a lot of thought to money since I got into the Federal Reserve issue,
hmm
trying to understand what really is money. And we're back to that issue of it. It's an abstraction, really,
exactly.
because all it is a storehouse of value.
Hmm.
And it's not, money is not evil,
Hmm.
but evil people use money.
Yes.
But good people use money too for good
Yes.
things.
Yes.
Money works either way. And the only reason we want money is because it's a measure of the degree to which we can command the services of other people.
Hmm.
If we didn't have any money, we couldn't hire a painter to paint our house.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think I couldn't paint my house, so I need money to get the services of a painter or a
Hmm.
mechanic on my car or everything else. So money is not evil, but it's an intermedium. It can be used for anything. But boy, money is if you have a lot of it, and
Hmm.
especially if you make the bloody stuff,
If you actually
you
print
print
it,
it.
yeah.
Like the Federal Reserve, they don't even
Yeah.
print it. They just enter it into a
Oh yeah,
keyboard,
digital. Yeah,
computer
yeah,
keyboard.
yeah,
They just say, okay, put the numbers on the screen.
yeah.
And they've got another $1 trillion to give to somebody. You can buy people with that. You can buy their temporary loyalties.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that they're not truly loyal. They're loyal as long as to their advantage.
Yes.
And when things start to break,
Hmm.
I think they'll be like rats coming off of
Yes,
a
that's
ship
the way I describe it.
down the rope.
Yeah.
Because I know I've talked to some of them
Mm.
who not at the top, but in the middle.
Hmm.
And they say, what can I do? It's my livelihood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they would get off the rat trap if they could, but they feel that they couldn't. Well, if they had no choice
Hmm.
and the ship was going down, they would jump ship.
Hmm.
And we didn't have to do that. I think our enemy envies us
Hmm.
because when we get together and decide what we were going to do, we don't have to be paid.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we don't have to lie.
Yeah.
And we don't have to
Exactly.
steal. We don't have to
Exactly.
kill. We don't have
Correct.
to do anything.
Yeah.
Just do what we have to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
We might have to do some ugly things sometime, but
Mhm.
that's not our goal. That's not our style. And in fact, we pay.
Mhm.
We pay for what we do.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and they would love to have that kind of loyalty, but they don't.
Yeah. And it brings the question of what they're doing now with how they've constantly been moving us away from real money, gold and silver, and moving us to fiat currency. And then it was paper and then
Mm-hmm.
copper. And then in the banks amongst themselves, it's a bunch of digital numbers. And now they're getting ready to change us over where we're not even going to get the paper anymore. And we're just going to have the digital numbers that they have in the bank already.
Mm-hmm.
So when they
Mm-hmm.
get that, it's the reminder this has nothing to do with wealth because they have all the money. What they want is the power and control. And when's that shift going to happen? And how would you confront something like that except just totally go off grid if that's the question?
Okay, here I go again. I've got almost all my answers involve a little story, but stories help me see things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do we avoid that? Uh, there was a BBC documentary done some years ago on the life of, oh my gosh, my brain. I haven't had lunch today.
Oh,
Um, let's see, the guy that wrote Animal Farm. What's
oh,
his?
George Orwell. George Orwell.
George Orwell. Thank you, thank you. George Orwell's life, and it was a documentary on his life, and it
Mm-hmm.
was exceedingly well done.
Mm,
Exceedingly well done. The actors were just so believable, and according to the storyline, every word that was spoken by the actor
mm-hmm.
who portrayed George Orwell were words that Orwell had actually written
Oh,
in
wow.
his
Okay.
lifespan.
Mm-hmm.
Had no recordings of him, but these were actually his words.
Mm,
Isn't that clever?
yeah.
So I don't know if that's true or not, but I think it might have been. Anyway, the point is, it portrayed his life in great detail. And at the end of his life, he died of tuberculosis,
Mm,
and that was a slow, lingering process. And so the very end of the program is where I want to take this story. He's in what appears to be a hospital bed.
mm-hmm.
He's propped up. He's having trouble breathing and talking, and doing a great, very convincing job.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a woman in there who is a newspaper reporter from the London Times or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And she's saying, "Well, Mr. Orwell, your books have created a very dismal, grim picture for the future of mankind.
Mm-hmm.
What can be done to stop that
Mm-hmm.
or to avoid that?" And he got this look on his face and he had a little trouble breathing. It took a long time before he started to answer. And he said, "There's only one thing that can be done. And that is," and he's struggling to breathe, "don't let it happen."
Mm, mm, mm-hmm.
And that hit me like a bolting,
Yeah.
a bolt of lightning.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly believe that if it happens, I don't see how it can be unwound.
Mm,
I don't know. Now I shouldn't say that because that's a pessimistic point of view, but I think it might be realistic. But nevertheless, the rest of that realistic point of view is it hasn't happened yet.
yes.
And
Yes.
if we don't get off our duffs,
Yeah.
it could happen. There's no question about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to, in my life, I assume that that dramatic line is true.
Mm-hmm.
And everything I can do is to not let it happen.
Yes.
And I think that should be our slogan, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let it happen.
Yes. That's spot on.
And, yeah.
On that note, I know your time is very, very precious, and I want to thank you deep from my heart and all my listeners and everything for sharing your time with us and giving some solid information that hopefully will compel people to look at the things that they are seeing from a different point of view and a different lens, and hopefully be a call to action. And I want to thank you, Mr. Griffin, again for
Well, thank you very
talking
much.
with me.
And if anybody feels in their heart and their soul that they want to do more than just know about these things,
Mhm.
and they want to be part of a movement to not let it happen,
Mhm.
come out to the Red Pill Expo. That's a good place to start. And eventually you will become part of a global coalition of activists who have the same kind of resolve. And we can do it. All we need is 15% of the population.
That's
and
it.
I think we've already
That's true.
got that.
That's true.
That's all we need. It's doable. It's doable.
It is doable. Yeah.
But
and I'll have a post again at the end of this episode with reference to the Red Pill Expo, and people will be able to listen further and follow up on it and show up.
Yes.
Thank you again.
All right.
Tired of being misled by the mainstream narrative? It's time to take the red pill and discover perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. Join us at Red Pill Expo 2026, happening July 11th and 12th in Las Vegas, Nevada. Hear from researchers, doctors, journalists, and speakers from around the world as they discuss global events, media narratives, health, technology, freedom, and much more. Whether you attend in person or watch online from the comfort of your home, Red Pill Expo gives you the opportunity to explore ideas and information outside the mainstream conversation. The event will be live streamed, and you can register for free online access today, or join us live in Las Vegas for the full experience.
Visit redpillexpo.org to reserve your ticket, get event details, and make your plans for Red Pill Expo 2026.
By the time Orwell married Sonia Brownell, 1984 was written, after which he would never leave his bed again. But he left one final warning.
1984 is, I believe, a quite terrifying masterpiece. So terrifying, in fact, I don't think I should like to read another like it.
I am not absolutely dissatisfied with it. I think it is a good idea, but the execution would have been better if I had not been under the influence of TB when I wrote it.
You once claimed that you have an ability to face unpleasant facts. Is that what you've demonstrated in 1984 by drawing an accurate portrait of the future?
I think that allowing for the book being, after all, a parody, something like 1984 could actually happen. This is the direction the world is going in at the present time. In our world, there will be no emotions except fear, rage, triumph, and self-abasement. The sex instinct will be eradicated. We shall abolish the orgasm. There will be no loyalty except loyalty to the party. But always there will be the intoxication of power. Always, at every moment, there will be the thrill of victory, the sensation of trampling on an enemy who is helpless. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.